Yeah, you always get fucking loads of space above us. Like,
why are you taking so long to focus? What is up with the webcam, man?
stop.
Is toxic masculinity ruining your facial hair? That is only one of the many topics.
It's looking as if it's ruining our faces.
The podcast with me, Antony Sammeroff.
Hey,
Excellent. So we've got an action-packed show for you today. We're going to be discussing everything from police seizing dinosaur fossils. So I think we'll start with a quick touch base on what's been happening in the last week in the UK.
Okay, yeah.
For those of you who are not in the know of two major events. One was a parliamentary vote regarding Brexit. Decide on what exactly?
It was to decide on whether or not they would back Theresa May's supposed deal. You could call it a deal on Brexit, whereas it's basically, as far as anybody could make out, would be actually, it pleased no one. It didn't please the Ramoners, and it didn't please the Brexiteers, and if anything, it would be in a worse place after that deal than we were before. So she was defeated. Her soundly one of the biggest, if not the biggest, defeat in Commons history. Both the parliamentarians on both sides of the House voted against that. So we're now in a situation where she has to come up with another deal very, very quickly. And
it was going to draw out the process of Brexit.
Well, it might do anyway.
It might do anyway, and give the EU final say on when we were leaving.
They're talking about doing this backstop thing of another referendum, which is gathering momentum. No pun intended, because that's the movement within the Labour Party. They're called Momentum. They want to, basically, they didn't like the vote the first time round. They didn't like the result of that. And like what they did with Ireland and Portugal, they want to make us do it again until us plebs give the answer that the political elites want us to give, which would be a shocking betrayal of democracy. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it would legitimise a coup. Controversial, but I think it would, because basically the government would be going against a clear majority vote of the people, and overturning that and just having another vote. And there's not even any indication that if we won it, us Brexiteers won it again, that they would be happy with that. They might just make us do it again and again and again until we get it right.
I think the thing is, when the vote was 52 to 48%, that's hardly a consensus, and there's never been
Well, hang on a second though. That's more than some regimes of it, right?
No question.
Tony Blair would got in on less of a
right. Yeah, I agree, and more to the point, it highlights one of the problems with democracy, which is, in the most extreme cases, you've got the war of all against all, or two factions. And I think very much about America as being a multicultural society, even amongst whites, which is in the Bible Belt, you've got people who really want guns, and in the States you've got a bunch of people who want to take away their guns and create resentment. And obviously the more militaristic states are pushing the warfare states on the more liberal and inverted commas state. So majoritarianism is not
tyranny of the majority.
But it's not even, in this case, tyranny of the majority, because it's not exactly majority.
Well, it's still a majority. A majority of one is a majority.
It's more like, if we went out to dinner with a group of people, and half of us wanted Chinese and half of us plus one, 51% of the people going to dinner want Indian. Everyone has to have an Indian, except for you're not allowed to walk away and say, I'm having no part in this.
why don't the people who want chicken have chicken, and the people who want and
this is why.
This is what I thought would, if Europe was such a great thing, all they would do is go around. I'll tell you what, if you want to be a part of the European Union, have a red passport, subscribe, pay your taxes, pay your dues, and if you want your business to be run along European Union rule lines, do that, and you can trade with other European Union business. And if you don't want to be a part of it, don't be a part of it. I don't see why that wouldn't be workable.
Well, which is the idea of majoritarianism, that a majority does have the right to
ride roughshod over the minority.
Yes. So, catastrophic vote which May lost. Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party, called for a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister. Lord knows why, because everyone knew he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a clear in their system.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they do.
You can't have a vote of no confidence in the
but
president. You have to impeach him.
Okay. Well, basically, they can just. It's a vote of no confidence in the government itself.
Right.
So, if it carried, if MPs voted with the Labour Party, it could carry, and that would mean the government would have to go to the people.
In America, you can't bring you can't force a presidential election. The president needs to serve his 4 years unless he gets shot or impeached or something like that. And even so, if you impeach the president, the vice president becomes president. But we've got a system which
it takes about 5 years just to elect the bastard, doesn't it?
You can. Whereas here, we can actually call it. So, no confidence means we don't believe in the government. We don't have confidence in the government's ability to lead. And
as libertarians, that's just a permanent thing.
We've permanently got no confidence in the government. But Jeremy Corbyn lost the vote, but not by a wide margin. It's basically all of that a general election should be mandated or not, and the majority of them voted no. But it's a weird thing to do, because are they not actually voting? Because if a general election is called that.
Yeah, totally. So I think he's glad that he didn't win it. And if the Labour Party get in, here's the thing. I think you've got two parties who don't want to be in power at the moment, because if the Labour Party had to get into power, basically you're going to end up with a situation where they have to deal with it. They have to deal with the Brexit situation, and also you have a situation
and there's no solution because there's no consensus.
Yeah. And there's coming as well. In fact, there is a crash coming. It's just a matter of when, not if. And I don't think the Labour Party. I mean, these guys, the momentum guys in Labour, they all read Mises as well, and they know there's a crash coming. But they want to blame it on capitalism. So it'd be handy for them if the Tories were still in power when the crash happened, as opposed to them.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if Theresa May was forced to step down, it's a really sad indictment of our political landscape. I mean, I know that it would be good if we had someone to lead, but I mean, while we have a state, it's like, what does Theresa May stand for? Absolutely nothing that I can discern. She's got no principles.
She stands for Theresa May.
She's not got a philosophy. She's not got a vision. She's not trying to sell capitalism to people. I've not heard her talk about how wonderful capitalism is.
I think she believed. She famously made the statement in order to deliver Brexit. She doesn't believe in Brexit. She was a Remainer. A good corner against the European Union. She's not going to be able to do that. So it's a bad we're in a bad place politically, and but I don't know why everybody fears no deal. I think no deal is probably the best.
I think
the best.
There's
deal possible.
there's no deal like no deal.
Absolutely, leave it to no deal. Just unilaterally declare.
If we had some ideological support for free trade, which we don't seem to.
Yeah.
But that's enough of what's been going on in the UK.
Yeah, definitely.
So our lead story today.
Our lead story. Well,
wait.
No, wait, hang on a second.
You want to do something?
Well, seeing as we're on the subject of Europe, one of the things that Remainers always talk about when they say why we should be a member of the EU, they always appeal to this idea of the higher power and the European.
It's the higher power,
yeah.
Just in case.
But in their eyes, probably something better than that, which is the European Court of Human Rights, which is God to these people. And they think it's the be-all and end-all. And the way they go on, the way they talk, you would honestly think that here in Britain, we knew nothing of individual rights and freedoms and liberties before the European Court of Human Rights was in session, which is complete and utter talk. And to emphasise that, there's a story we picked up from, I saw it on the Foundation for Economic Education, but the story came from another source.
I would like to just point out that, see, when you hear these, the Bill of Human Rights and things like that, the ironic thing is each of these rights has it's like you have the right to free speech unless each of the rights has a condition on it.
You have the right to strike unless.
Which basically means that what Bill of Human Rights is actually saying that you don't have any of these rights.
Yeah.
That's the irony of the matter.
I mean, if you think about your Constitution in the United States, your Constitution, your Bill of Rights, they're basically very short and sweet documents. You know, I think the Bill of Rights is just a little sort of handbook thing.
Yeah.
The European law and European human rights law is volumes. A team of New York lawyers, years to work out, and
Yeah, because the idea is, and this is like more of an underlying principle of the law that it would be really great if people got. They should have a way of ensuring that everyone has done something illegal at some point. They don't have to enforce the law, but if they ever need to ring someone out, they can create a law in such a way that everyone's always guilty of something.
You probably break about 3 or 4 laws a day.
Yeah.
Without break.
Same thing goes with this document, right? It's there in the view of supporting your rights, but if they ever need a pretext for taking one of those rights away, they will be able to find one.
Indeed. And accordingly, this story, basically, you can see for yourself, police seized my client's children, for them to do that. So a decision made last week, the European Court of Human Rights has undermined its claim to being the, quote, conscience of Europe, unquote, and pitted parents.
No wonder the wee bastards.
So there's 2 countries that I know of in Europe where homeschooling is never mind frowned upon, illegal. Okay, get that. They will put you in a cage with murderers and rapists if you keep your children at home and try and educate them that way. Now, this is a big thing in the States because I think more and more people are homeschooling. You have the right to do that. It's gone past the stage where people were pillorying it and mocking. The matter is, homeschooled children actually perform very well.
Yeah.
The myth of socialization.
That's like, that's one of the most NPC things that anyone can say. Oh, how are your kids going to get a socialization? Yeah, because being forced to do what you're told when you're told all day and associate with all the antisocial kids that aren't parented properly. And that's a really, really great socialization because, say if you're getting bullied at school, say if you're getting bullied in a job, you just move, fucking. See if you're getting bullied at school. Where do you go?
That's
you
right.
have to share the playground.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, it's the opposite of a socialization. It's a poor socialization you get in school.
Yeah, it's a non-starter, that argument.
But everyone makes it, which is what shows that it's mind control. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one of these talking points that people have been primed to make. Lordy, lordy, lord.
Idiots.
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 So these people are wunderlich family.
They are wunder.
Yeah.
Wunderbar.
They're absolutely wunderlich. Right, why? It does mean wonderful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Wunderlich or wunderbar.
What a great. No, but you misunderstand the article. They're saying that this is a wonderful family. That's not the name. That's not their surname.
Okay. Well, obviously the court. And the police, 3 police officers. Well, if you get the article in FEE, Foundation for Economic Education, you can bring it up yourself and agree. 33 police officers and wrote it up.
7 social workers.
Right, threatened
but
to
this is
open the
like,
door with a
why
battering
do they
ram.
spend so much money on this shite when there's murderers and rapists they should be pursuing?
Because this is about a battle between the state and the individual for who has moral authority over your children.
Right.
And when people homeschool, they challenge that state authority, so they have to come down hard to show you who's boss and to show you that your children do not, in fact, belong to you. They belong to the state and they belong to the collective. So
the children were carried screaming out of their home. There's some good socialization right there.
Absolutely, that's great for children. So in Germany, it's illegal, it's forbidden in Germany, it's verboten in Germany, and in Sweden as well criminalises parents for homeschooling their children. And my concern is, I mean, okay, what goes on in Germany, what goes on in Sweden, that's entirely up to them. But the Scottish National Party here in the ruling party in Scotland have decided, well, they're moving, they're making noises in that direction. They're already trying to bring in, we've mentioned it before in the show, the sort of named person legislation, which means that every child will have a state appointed guardian, whether you want it or not. And that's the very start. And there's a lot of reasons for why people would maybe not want to send their children to state school in Scotland, because they're talking about teaching that boys can have periods and things like that. They're talking about actually teaching kids this in primary school. So, you know, especially religious groups are concerned about this, and a lot of people in the UK are considering, a lot of people do homeschool their children in the UK, and it's seen as a challenge. You know, and obviously if everybody did that, hey, guess what? Lots of teachers would be out of jobs as well. And you know, everybody likes to, as a industrial complex, nobody likes to talk about the medical industrial complex, the academic industrial complex.
And it is one, like in Scotland particularly, they've got all of these college courses that are basically for people who don't want to get a job after school. And they stretch it out. You do a qualification called an HC, then an HNC, then an HND. So that can be 3 years before you even go to university sometimes. And then maybe entitled to 3 or 4 years of free education in Scotland. So the government's basically throwing thousands of pounds at these useless courses to keep people off the unemployment rolls. And if they're from a poor or working class background, what's considered poor here, some of them aren't that poor, they might get a bursary as well, which means the state gives them a couple of £1,000s to spend on their living arrangements and things like that, which a lot of people just spend on booze and drugs. I personally, unfortunately, subjected to one of these college courses, but one of my
but at least it's voluntary in terms of when you're higher education of that sort. It's voluntary, but you're not being forced to go to school like
that's
a kid
true.
is.
But what I mean, the purpose of these courses, in my opinion, is like if you go to the George Orwell quote, the purpose of war is the destruction of human labor. Or I think, praxeologically or whatever, these resources, they're basically, because our society would be so much wealthier if not for spending millions and millions and millions in these courses every year. And okay, that's a bit conspiracy theory territory, but I just feel like it's just like more and more and more money needs to be thrown into the pit to stop people at the bottom from becoming too wealthy.
Yeah, and obviously to keep academics in a job.
In a job,
well.
because the number of academics grows as more people go to university. They need to have, and they're not going to get ahead on a free market, so they need to lobby the government to put them in a job. It's just
trying to get a job in the real world. You're an academic. I mean, what could you do, really?
Well, what we're doing, I guess, if anyone bloody donated, by the way, frequency528@hotmail.co.uk, PayPal us to donate for new equipment. if you like what we're doing.
So anyway, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but the bottom line, the European Court of Human Rights has decided to side with the German government and the police, despite its own constitution, its own charter that says that it respects a parent's rights to be the ultimate authority in looking after their kids. But this case has proved that that's just nonsense. So I hate this kind of thing. It's very easy, in fact, here in the UK. Difficult process, and it can be, but really, if the state wants to take your kids off you here in Scotland, it's relatively quick and simple. And I actually know a couple who it happened to. The kids were taken from them and basically adopted out, and they don't even know where they are now.
That's shocking.
So, and that just came from falling foul of a social worker. So that kind of shit goes on. So
for people not to have children and not want to get.
I mean, 7 social workers and 13 police. Calculate the cost of that just alone. Jesus.
Jesus.
This was not the Branch Davidian. This was not Waco. This was not like there was no indication that these people were heavily armed. They were just a couple with children that they wanted to keep at home and
they gave the children a traumatic. That's some fucked up shit.
Yeah. So screw you, Germany.
Screw you. So speaking about fucked up shit, this new advert, Gillette.
Have you seen it?
When I was staying with my ex-girlfriend, you remember her? I said to her, baby.
That's what you said to her.
I said to her, baby, I'm going to call you Gillette because you're the best a man can get. And she replied, yes. I will also.
You've been working on that joke all week, haven't you?
Well, I mean, it was our lead story. I
deserved a better joke than that.
Oh, well, fuck you. I did actually say I'm going to call you Gillette because you're the best the man can get, but she didn't reply, yes, I will also cut you.
Okay. So, I mean, you're all probably aware. I mean, everybody's talking about it. And we don't want to give it really any more publicity.
I was forced to watch the advert in order to prepare to this show. I was just going to ignore it.
If it was just this advert, if it was just this ad in isolation, then I would be willing to go, well, look, it's just an ad, forget it.
It's part of an overall movement.
Yeah, it's an overall movement. I mean,
to pathologize.
In particular, I have to say, white men, because we are responsible for all the ills of the planet, believe it or not. That fucking iceberg that the Titanic hit,
right before
Pearl Harbor, white men.
Wasn't it true that FDR knew they were given sufficient warning about Pearl Harbor and they didn't respond?
Well, my assessment of history goes, and maybe some of our American fans or ex-fans, maybe they'll be after this, will be able to let us know. But as far as I know, America basically manoeuvred and provoked Japan into a situation where it had no other choice. Economic embargoes.
Well, I mean, people in the mainstream, including conservative, go on about Pearl Harbor and stuff like that, but it's like,
I mean, it was a pretty sneaky thing.
More.
I mean, the Japanese, I think, put the declaration of war in about precisely a minute before the first bomb hit. Like, there's a lot of indicators that say that they knew exactly what was coming. I mean, just
an opportunity to enter the war.
Yeah.
What was it? What was America's pretext for the embargo on Japan anyway?
I think American interests in the fact probably in Connect. I'm waffling Connect.
You guys will come on YouTube and school
as well. Expansion into China, into Manchuria, but I believe that the Japanese had already negotiated a withdrawal or something like that. There was all sorts of things going on, but I think ostensibly it was Japanese expansionism that America objected to. And
America has an objection to expansion
because they didn't have or a few other places. Hawaii. In fact, Pearl Harbor, the place where they got hit by the Japanese. What the hell were Americans doing there? Well, you read into the history of Hawaii and you find out that that was basically a military coup by rich American landowners in Hawaii.
Colonialism.
And, it's basically a form of colonialism, So, but we digress.
We do, but it's always an interesting digression. I just want to mention that, in my view,
what the hell is going on?
Don't mention the camera. Most people are listening anyway. For some reason, the new cameras.
Yeah, it's all right. If it's not you, as our camera. Okay.
So
Gillette advert.
I just want to say, having shirts, I tend to find generally quite obnoxious. It's like virtue signaling, progressive talking points. I mean, they went so far as to feature a clip from the Young Turks in the ad there.
Anna Kasparian.
Yeah, she's in the ad, and it's like, okay, well, now we know what you're
like. Does she shave? Does she?
It's like, it's more to the point. Do Republicans not shave? Right? Do conservatives not shave? Is Gillette a product that is just for leftists? Right? Because they've just
in fact, if anything, it's probably more beardy leftists than anybody.
It's like, I don't like this general trend of we're so good. Like, we're so good. Anyone who has to announce or go to great pains to demonstrate how good they are has a fucking dark secret as far as I'm concerned. I'm always reminded of the Oscar Wilde quote because I'm a pretentious wanker. If you pretend...
And there's a lot of evidence to support that particular theory, I have to say.
If there's any good, everyone takes you dreadfully seriously. If you pretend to be bad, no one does. And I always like to let my dark side show. But I really hate this, even to put it aside from the gender issue of toxic masculinity, I generally tend to hate virtue signaling. I mean, I've been accused occasionally when I've posted something about vegetarianism or something like that by Annalyn Finlay or something like that of virtue signaling. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd have to have a friends list signaling, which I don't, So it's more like, if anything, it makes me look like a twat posting something about that. I don't like there's plenty of things that, like, say, came up on my Facebook memory. I remember from like 8 years ago or something like that, where it was like asking a member of a homosexual couple which is the male in the relationship is like asking a chopstick which is the knife, right?
Okay.
And I posted that up maybe 8 years ago. I would never post something like that up anymore, even though I can see why I posted it and still have sympathy with gay rights and all that. I just don't want to be a part of this culture. At the time, this culture had not fully emerged, but now it's like, I just don't want to be a part of it. Hey, I'm so inclusive, like, it just, and it's obnoxious.
Yeah. So this ad, I don't know who it's, well, it's aimed at other virtue signalers, obviously, but I mean, I'm imagining that Gillette's main target group, their main source of income and revenue would come from men.
Yeah, and why are you advertising by criticizing them?
Let's piss all over men and tell them how bad they are, how tyrannical they are. And the ad, I'm sure you've all seen it. It's such a grotesque. It's actually, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I think it's very akin to the Nazi propaganda things that they used to do about Jews, and paint them as chiselers and thieves and pickpockets and all the rest of that nasty stuff. Those grotesques that the Nazis painted in their little films about Jews.
Can I push back to allow you to be longer?
Yeah.
Because are they not at least saying that men have the potential to be great? The Nazis would not say about the Jews.
Well, I don't think the Nazis had it. Well, because
they're basically saying, men, you should be better than all this toxic masculinity.
Yeah, you should.
And are you meant to go, yes, I'm going to buy Gillette so I can be a better man?
Well, there's somebody who's like a proper wife beaten. He's there. He is. He's slapping his wife at the dinner table. That's my side of the table. The seminal, the seminal Kowalski. Like he's slapping her around, and suddenly this ad comes on, and he sees the ad. And he breaks down and cries, and he picks his wife up off the floor. And it's so true. I'm so sorry. And he goes out and buys even more Gillette razors that he doesn't really need because he's so impressed. Oh. It's crapola. It really is crapola. And so I'm angered by this advert. And as I say, it's not just the ad. You can see it everywhere, especially in schools. Little boys are treated as if they've got some sort of pathological condition called being a little boy. Men are aggressive, men are violent, men are all sorts of negative and all sorts of negative things. And something that most people, I think, have missed in this advert, some people have talked about it, is the racism that's in it. Nearly every piece of crap in the advert, anybody who's catcalling is a whitey, and everybody who steps in to stop it is black or brown or coloured. And because, as we all know, black people are notorious for their sensitivity towards women. I mean, black rap artists, for example, for years have been writing lyrics that are nothing but respectful and progressive and very inclusive.
Epic song, Smack Her with
the
Dick.
Okay, yeah. Okay, who done that one?
I can't remember.
Smack Her with the Dick.
To the wall, to the sweat drips off my balls. I mean,
absolutely
inspired lyrics there. But do you know what I've discovered?
Every feminist.
I think I've discovered that I prefer West Coast rap to East Coast rap. I do like a bit of Biggie, but Dre, all those West Coast wrap this little posse.
Yeah. So as my brother David has just commented, yeah, Gillette have basically just done a big crap in the swimming pool.
But whose idea was it? Who sat down in an advertising committee?
You couldn't make it up. Apparently, the person in charge of this advertising campaign, the person who made the advert, was a lesbian feminist woman.
But I mean, it needs to go to committee, and someone thought, "Wow, this is a really good idea. This is really going to sell our product." Fucking hope that Gillette sales absolutely.
I hope they go down. They will if I've got anything to do with it. I mean, I have bought Gillette razors. I mean, you don't use razors. You use.
I use clippers.
What about for your bikini line? Your downstairs mixer?
I wax actually.
Right. Do you wax lyrical?
To say that I definitely wax lyrical, but to say that I wax is maybe to exaggerate. It's more like I have a group of shrieking witches who hold me down and wax me.
Well, certainly near your will. So
this idea,
my view is, I'm certainly not going, and I hate sort of telling other people what to do, but I hope enough men boycott this. I'm not going to buy any more Gillette razors. In fact, I'm going to widen it to Procter & Gamble's products because I believe Procter & Gamble own Gillette, so I'm going to widen it out to them. And I don't really care if Gillette come back with a big apology and donate a whole load of money to testicular cancer.
As you try
go on with these ads, because I am not going to buy any more Gillette. I will trip over my own beard before I use a Gillette product ever again, and I hope lots of men do the same thing, because the ad is completely disgusting.
Because as it says in the ad, men have to hold men accountable.
Absolutely, and we're going to start with Gillette.
Yeah. So,
and I'm serious with this kind of thing, because I love having been born here in Scotland. I love, there's two sort of iconic Scottish products. One is Bunnocks caramel wafers, and I love them both. There's nothing like the morning after the night before. There's nothing like a bottle iron brew, cold bottle iron brew, and I love this stuff. I love Tunnocks products because I grew up less than 100 yards from their factory in Uddingston in Lanarkshire. My mother used to take me to Tunnocks tea rooms as a kid. It was a big day out for me. I used to love it, and it was a hard decision for me to make. But I no longer I no longer buy the products from those companies because I didn't like the attitude they took. Yes, no referendum campaign. I think they've done a lot of scaremongering, and it didn't suit me. And so I do not buy bars products. It's tough because their product is cheaper. Their cola and their soft drinks are about a third of the price of products like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, but I will pay the extra, and I will avoid I'll avoid their products like the plague. So I'm serious about this Gillette thing. I will never use Gillette's products again. What we got in the comments?
That's to the comments.
Okay.
So you've got a couple. I just wanted to mention, the end of the advert is like, "We believe in the best of men," and it's like, why don't you show that then? Right? Why don't you fucking
show the positive aspects
all
of
the
men.
Instead of going, "Don't be like this, don't be like that," why don't you show all the most positive aspects of men and have at the end, men aspire to be great. Show a great scientist, a great athlete.
Fireman, the man who jumped in front of his girlfriend and took bullets for her when the maniac was on the rampage in Morocco. Was it Morocco? Or Tunisia, when the terrorists went. He jumped in front of her and let her escape. Men do this kind of thing all the time.
But see if you do that. See if you highlight the best in men. Don't do the bad stuff. It's already implied. Anyway, so you could. They're just trying to pretend that this is a pro-men advert. It's an anti-men advert.
It's all blurry. We don't know what the hell's going on there.
I think it might be too close this time.
And it says we keep breaking up.
Well, that was quite a long time ago. That comment was made near the beginning of the show. He says, "Does Antony play Stardew Valley?" Now, I don't know what that is, except for maybe you're making an anti-Semitic comment. Star Jew Valley? Is that what you mean, Adam Smasher? Is this one of these brackets, alt-right things? How dare you, says Theresa May is a lady, you're clearly just a misogynist. True. He is clearly just a misogynist, but not because he's insulted Theresa May.
It's funny how I'm not a misogynist about Margaret Thatcher. It's funny how I'm not a misogynist about Indira Gandhi or Golda Meir or, you know, there's a never-ending procession of women who I'm not a misogynist. Ayn Rand, yeah.
Well, that's because they're all a bit mannish. So
yeah. Isabel Patterson.
Oh yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
MI6 is trying to show us.
I think Rose Wilder. Lane, lots of women out there that I thought were fantastic. Edwina Curry, another one. It's strange how my misogyny seems to tail itself to women who are on the left.
I think that he's just more of a misanthrope than a misogynist.
Yeah,
he just doesn't like
people, whether they're vaginas or penises or some sort of combination.
He's an equal opportunities hater. I see Tom's attitude to women more like, you know, an old guy who can't figure out the computer, so he hates the computer. It's just like, figure out how this thing works. Yeah. And therefore I hate it. And that's also his attitude to technology as well. So women are a technology
that I just can't really get a handle on, frankly. Yeah.
Without paying for it.
Auntie Chris, hello my dudes. Hello Auntie Chris. Thanks for joining us.
I think that's...
Oh, he lives next to Tunnocks. All right. Going round and put something, I don't go through and put something
we have
through the
seen
letterbox.
You, we have spoken to you once before along with Goodfella, I believe.
Yeah, and this as well. In fact, Goodfella, if you guys don't know him, he has a YouTube channel as well, and he has done a parody. He has done a parody of this advert in which he attacks women. It's not for the faint-hearted.
I'd like to check that out.
Okay.
Last story. Rare as winning the lottery. Actually, it's fucking, someone lied to me. I thought this was new, but it's actually almost a year old. But it's still fun. New dinosaur fossil so well preserved.
How do they know it isn't a statue?
I guess they'll probably take something of it and test it to make sure it's born. Well, it might be several millions of years old statue.
Yeah. Could be one of these, you know, was it anachronistic anomalies that people keep finding, you know, like the spark plug they found in a rock and all that kind of thing. That was reported to be, you know, millions of years old or whatever.
It doesn't make any sense. This is meant to be 110 million year fossil. No